as we said, this new product was inspired by the feedback that we've gotten from you, our community. So some background. Frameworks such as Roads make it easy to build apps, native apps quickly for all smartphones. So something that we've definitely seen that is as easy as it is to use Roads to write smartphone apps, and as easy as it is to get apps built quickly, one of the issues is then you need to get it to your users to test. So it's we want to make it easier for you to get apps out to your testing users. The other thing is we are an enterprise-focused company, even though we have a huge community. We want to get native apps out to you as an enterprise. Will want to get native apps out to all your users, regardless of their device, and then also manage who gets what app, as well as updating those users. So what we're announcing today is RhoGallery. And what RhoGallery is the first hosted application management and provisioning solution. The way that it works is administrators create galleries of apps. You invite users or what we call consumers and groups. Consumers, by the way, doesn't mean that it's B2C focused or just for B2C focused. It's actually primarily targeted at enterprise workers. But we need to distinguish between users of RhoHub, which is used all over the place, and your user community. Who are the end users of your app? So you'll see consumer used in a number of contexts, and that's what we mean by that. So you'll invite users and groups, and then you'll be able to delete apps and data remotely. So for consumers, those enterprise workers that receive things, they'll receive an invite to a gallery over SMS and or email. They'll then launch the RhoGallery app containing all the apps for their company and their job. And then they'll be able to organize and launch all of their enterprise apps from RhoGallery. So how do you use it? Well, you'll go to RhoHub. You'll see that you have a new tab called RhoGallery. You'll create an application, and then you'll upload builds to that application. You, of course, can create more than one application. You will invite the consumers, and they will then go to that URL. So let's show a demo of what this is. I'm back in my mythical company called CRM2Go, and you'll see that I've created a gallery. This happens to be called the Sales Gallery, and I have 3 apps that I've created here. I have an expense manager app, and this actually happens to be an app that I've done externally. And in other words, I've linked to an external URL to get this. So if you actually look here, this is an external app, and I was able to add this to my app gallery. We also have an app called Field Service. Field Service happens to have been built locally. Field Service was built on Roads as a RhoHub build, and CRM happens to have been built as a local Roads build. The key thing is it really is any app that you can then include in a gallery. So let's go ahead and add a new app to this so you can see what we're talking about here. So our new app, we'll call this Inventory. And we can now pick which target we wish it to be for. It can be for Android, BlackBerry, iOS, Windows Mobile. I'll say I want it to be Android. And we'll say that we want the app version to be 1.0. And we'll say com.roamable. Actually going to point to an existing app that I have out there. And so you'll see I have 3 different choices. I can pick from RhoHub builds. I can use local builds that I built with any particular toolkit. It does not have to be with Roads. It can be with any app that you choose. Or we can pick a remote build, which can just be an external URL. So what I'm going to do is say, okay, I want to do a RhoHub build. and you'll see I have all my various RhoHub builds that I've done. And what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to pick I'm actually going to duplicate what I did before and say that I want to pick the field service build. So here's my field service build. I can say go next. And I actually have multiple builds that I can choose from there. And I'm going to go ahead and finish. And so now in my inventory, it's actually uploaded 3 builds. I'm going to stick with just that one build. So now I have 4 apps. I have inventory, expense manager, field service, and CRM. So let's go ahead and invite a user. I'm going to go ahead and you can see that I have a bunch of individual consumers, and I also have some groups. So I've invited the engineers group, I've invited the sales group. That'll be a lot of the way that you do invites, inviting groups. I'm going to go ahead and re-invite myself. And I'll invite myself by email and SMS. And I'm going to go ahead and re-invite Rob. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out to my device and look and see what I have there. Now, I happen to have RhoGallery already. So let's go ahead and reload this. This is actually running live on an HTC Evo. And so let's go ahead and show that running. And so what I'm going to do now is bring up my menu, refresh it. And what I want to do is show you actually the launching of all of these apps. So I can click on the expense manager. This happens to be an actual third-party app that I've just, it's actually from a company called Tech Ahead. It's out as a free Android download. Now what's interesting is that you are not seeing what I'm actually seeing on the device. So I'm going to go ahead and do a reinstall. And let's go ahead and launch RhoGallery. Okay, the application was installed, and I have the launch button because it was installed. So I can actually launch this Expense Manager app, and I'm now running this Expense Manager app on my HTC Evo. So again, any external file is just fine as long as you have a link to it. So let's go ahead and go back and go back here. And so now let's look at this CRM app. This is an app that we actually wrote locally just now with Rhodes. And you can see that we have both an install and a launch capability. You don't get the launch button unless you've actually installed it. So I'm actually just launching a little CRM app that I wrote locally. I'm using our trusty Rhodes toolkit. But I can actually just do execute of new, just like I normally would. Okay, I'm going to go back. Close that app. So I'm back in my gallery again, and I'm going to go back to my gallery. And let's go ahead and launch the field service app. So I'm going to go ahead and say reinstall, so you can see this install process. And this is actually downloading from RhoHub, from a RhoHub build. So you can actually see that the URL is RhoHub-prod-OTA S3 Amazon AWS. By the way, the tool that we're using is called PickMe, that's used for doing the display. It's quite nice. You can control it both from the web browser, like I'm doing, and from the device. Okay, and let's go back here. And let's show an install of the CRM app. And you'll see that it will replace the previous application. It'll do the install. And we're back in the updated app that you saw earlier. The only difference that we were doing here is that we actually just did a re-download of that app. Okay, so okay, I'm going to go back to home, and you see that we're back in the top level of our gallery. We have various other things we can do. We can set our account information. I've actually set this is Rob's Evo here, so it's got all his information. It's got who he is as in the group. He can actually, even though the administrator can set it, he can actually self-assess. He can tag himself and say he wants to be in other groups. And then we've also got various other settings, like we can do things like check for updates, and we'll actually get updated data. You can actually see that. Okay, and so here is our inventory app. So you can actually see that this is an actual synchronized data app. All of this stuff is available offline, and it is done using RhoSync, as most good enterprise apps would do. So let me hop back to the presentation, and then I will then we'll answer some questions. So pricing, RhoGallery is included with RhoHub. We want to make things very simple for people to use. The lowest level of RhoHub, for those of you that aren't using it, is $49 per month for up to 10 devices. So that used to mean up to 10 devices for sync. So in effect, that's really development only. It's now up to 10 devices for. It's now up for up to 10 devices for sync and app provisioning and management. The other options that we have are $99 a month for 100 devices, and that, of course, is both now for sync and for app provisioning and management, and then $4.99 a month for 1,000 devices. So we're trying to make this very simple to purchase, no additional charge over and above what you over and above what you might have used RhoHub for sync before. So hopefully many of you that are using RhoHub, we have many, much more than 10,000 developers on RhoHub now using it for sometimes build and sync and sometimes just for build. Hopefully those of you that are using it for build will start using it to automate getting builds and apps out to your users, and also if you're trying to manage a wider set of apps, manage the set of apps that your users have. Okay, so roadmap. I've shown you some basic capabilities. This is clearly a beta. We've definitely labeled it that. We definitely want to get feedback from people. We want to get the benefits out to people as soon as we can. And so we've had a lot of demand for this. We want to help you start using your start getting the benefits of App Gallery today. However, we have a lot of plans for this and how to enhance it. We are going to be supporting app update. So what does that mean? That means doing incrementals and also allowing you to do notification. Again, it's all through the very familiar infrastructure. It's not going to change in a big way. You'll have the app screens, the list of apps, the ability to look on the app, and you'll just get, for example, update information. That there's an update available that the administrator can set. We will be adding app and data decommissioning. That's one of the reasons why we use a rich client on the device. If it was just a mobile web app, we wouldn't have that capability. So this solves the infamous taxi cab scenario. What if I lose my device on a taxi cab? The other thing that we'll be doing is local usage analytics. So this will give you an idea of who's using what apps. You have a bunch of enterprise users. Are they actually using your app? Are they keeping it updated? How frequently are they using it? Are they really entering their time and expenses every day? The other thing that we're doing, again, because we have an app on the device, is we are providing for shared runtime infrastructure. Rhodes is very small and efficient. It doesn't take a lot of room. It's generally around 2 megabytes. In fact, the RhoGallery app, despite all the stuff that's going on, is less than 3 megabytes. But this does, because we now know that there's an app on the device. In the scenarios where you're using RhoGallery to provision your Rhodes app, you could have shared runtime infrastructure. Now, all that said, of course, remember, RhoGallery is not just for Rhodes apps. It's for any app that you have. Okay. With the addition of RhoGallery to our suite of products, we now have everything that you need to develop, distribute, deploy, and manage your apps and data for all of your users and internal employees, and potentially external customers. So we have Rhodes, which lets you develop smartphone apps quickly for all devices. The unique thing about Rhodes is that it lets you write using your web skills. We have RhoSync, which lets you distribute data remotely to all devices. And of course, the unique thing about RhoSync is, versus other sync servers, Web 2.0 level scalability, mostly by using the NoSQL database that we have internally. In order to deploy your apps and builds and sync servers to the cloud, we introduced RhoHub some time ago. And of course, the advantage there is the ability to deploy in the cloud, both apps and builds and sync servers. And the final piece that we have today, we announced today, is RhoGallery, which lets you manage all the apps and data on all your workers and devices. And although we think we have a lot of really nice ease of use capabilities, the big differentiator is the ability to have hosted management. So we call this collection of things the Mobile Business Unified Services. I want to emphasize, though, and so we're in keeping with our bad row puns that we tend to name most of our products. The name of this suite of 4 products is Rhombus, and we say that Rhombus is the first example of a MEP 2.0. So mobile enterprise application platforms have been around for years. What we're trying to do is take the advantages of the cloud and the web, so the rapid development of the web and the rapid deployment and low cost of doing things in the cloud, and take it to this category that up till now has been very expensive. And so what we want to do is go far beyond the few hundreds of users and companies that have used the original MEPs, and take this out to be something that any developer can use. Okay, so that's my summary for today.